So now we're returning.
Keep you warm.
Brian.
It's freezing. Did
Yeah,
you
no.
walk over or did you drive?
No,
Yeah,
drove.
I drove.
I walked.
I blame it.
I
on
knew
the
you would have.
equipment. It's
Well, when you get in a cold car and drive over here, like,
I was running late, I guess, too.
yeah.
New Orleans, they're talking like 10 inches of snow
saw
potentially.
that, yeah.
What are they gonna do?
They're gonna sit there and wait for it to melt.
Yeah, yeah.
For a
They're-
long time.
Yeah, they won't do
They
anything.
tell it's about 3 to 5 now, like in, it's right along the Gulf, right across, like through Mississippi, Alabama, Northern
Yeah,
Florida,
yeah.
over to South Carolina.
Maybe they're telling them 10 inches so that they will all stay home.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if it sounds like an awful lot, but that's, I saw that somewhere. I was-
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Probably 1 inch would get them to stay home.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, Bill,
What's that?
can you hear us?
Yeah. Had one of the earpieces fall out too, so looking for it.
Good. Hey, Brian.
that's. You look. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we know. They do know. Yeah, so we're not mad, those are how are they? It's inside water. Yes. But. They got it, yeah.
Right up to Mount Washington this year.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Next week.
She's the coldest time of year to go. Is that on purpose?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the most interesting.
I will be back in a minute, all right? I gotta get something taken care of.
Okay, we'll be here.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Barb.
Second block down.
I did go up 1 week in the fall,
So those blocks are
and
about.
it was just beautiful weather the whole week. So, but too many people.
Right.
Yeah.
You have your own room
Yeah,
up
what day
there?
was that?
There's 2 volunteers and we share, but,
It must be quiet.
See what it was.
January.
well, they have these things called edu-trips, where they bring up 11 people overnight. And, there's some sort of education
Yeah.
to it. So, you have to cook for 17. Then, but other than that, it's peaceful.
What's your favorite thing to cook for everybody?
Lasagna is easy.
Easy to serve, not easy to make.
Yeah,
And a crowd pleaser.
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes there's a whole turkey, so we'll do that. You never know what's gonna be there for food,
Right.
so.
So whatever's in the refrigerator, that's what you guys get to cook.
There comes scratching. Yep,
We're just waiting for Bill.
we'll get the Christmas sweater on.
Lobsters. Ah, Maine sweater.
Oh, Okay, Bill is back, so let's get this meeting going. The January 21st, 2025 meeting of the Newburyport Conservation Commission taking place at the Senior Community Center boardroom. And this meeting is being recorded. First thing on the agenda is approval of the January 7th meeting notes. Anybody comments? Make a motion? Somebody?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have enough? I wasn't here, so,
I think it's okay.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll second. Okay, Barb,
Yes,
Bill? Bill?
Bill, can you hear us? Uh-oh, frozen? Okay, no.
Bill?
Yeah, you can't hear me?
No, now we can.
Okay, I'm abstaining. I wasn't at the meeting.
Dan, you want to stay in? Can we,
Table them, we have?
all right, we'll table it to the next meeting.
Or it's like at the last one, people,
Yeah,
Joe said to just vote if you've read them.
you can vote if you've read them and if you listen to
Because
them.
otherwise, you could get to a point where they might not be approved.
Yeah, as long as there's a quorum present, you don't have to admit at the meeting.
Okay.
Quorum of the, as long as there's a majority of the members present.
Bill, did you read them?
Okay, yeah, I did read them. I approve.
Okay, Dan?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay, next, do we have any Plum Island updates?
No Plum Island updates other than, the, next MRBA meeting will be Friday, February 7th. I believe it's at 11 a.m. at Peter Hall. And that's all I have there.
Okay. Can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved?
Second,
Barb,
yes,
Bill,
yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, Curzon Mill Road, I believe is continued.
Yeah, they asked for a continuance today to the February 7th, I'm sorry, February 4th hearing.
Okay,
I'll move to continue 101 Curzon Mill Road to February 4th.
Second,
okay, Barb,
yes,
Bill,
yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Next is at 8 Queen Street,
I think it's 6.
6 Queen Street.
Queen Street. So
Good
you're,
evening.
go ahead.
Steve Sawyer, with Millennium Engineering. So I guess my coworker, Sam, was in 2 weeks ago to present the project. And so what we're looking at is repairing the existing seawall. That's an older photo. And the Denman blocks have been eroding and tumbling into the basin. So I think we can,
You want the site plan or do you want more photos or?
well, probably just run right to the site plan.
Okay.
We can just run right to that.
This is the revised site
So if you
plan.
zoom it, yeah, so with the comments, I think DEP, I think there was some concern regarding the wall being higher, and the intent is to protect the property. From any flood events and wave erosion, which it's experiencing now. Granted, it's not, it's not the wave energy isn't tremendous, but it's enough to be eating away into that bank. So originally, I think I had the wall up around 7.2. And I think some comments came back, the comment came back from DEP requiring us to lower it to the adjacent wall. And I guess the data that Everett has, he has a high tide at, 5.85? Which is
Yeah, 5.5.
5.85, and the adjacent wall, I believe, is around 6.8, I think it was the spot grades, if you zoom down to the plan view.
Okay.
And then you zoom onto the blocks just below, there's some spot shots there.
Yeah, that, 4.8.
Oh, it's on the- it would be-
4.9, 6.8.
Yeah, so this is, these are the,
6.9,
yes, these are the shots on the top of the wall
Yeah.
there.
and then 8 on the other side.
Yeah, so, so I guess it's, concerned, number one, I still would like to keep the wall higher for protection, but I don't know. Little leery of pushing against DEP on that, I don't know what the commission's feeling is on that, so I basically agreed to in response to the DEP comment, I just dropped it to 6.8.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why they didn't want to allow it higher, because, there's already a wall on either side, so you don't necessarily have the end scour just with a higher elevation, do you?
Yeah, no, you would, well, I would say, so like we're higher on, like the riprap's higher. We'd be tying into the riprap, and my feeling is any kind of wave energy would be coming probably from the north or northeast.
Right.
Across the tip, and it would tend to, it would refract off and protect the abutting property, to be honest. The way I thought about it, like.
I know.
But, I don't know if the commission has concerns regarding the height of, us being, 6 inches or 12 inches higher than the abutting property by the abutting to the south. Because I thought, I didn't see any issue because of the fact that any wave energy would refract off. It wasn't coming in diagonally from the southeast. Because there's really no fetch over there, it's the basin's narrow at that point, the only place you have an open fetch would be to the north, more northerly and northeasterly. Where you have some energy coming across from Salisbury, just clearing the very tip of, where the marine, where the, party boats go out of. Coming in at that angle, so that's, to be honest, Julie, I'd rather put it back where it was, but I was just responding to the state.
I mean, I would have thought that we would have wanted you to go higher.
Yeah.
of
Well,
course.
in my opinion, you should go higher because you're
Okay.
gonna take into account sea level rise.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah,
because eventually everyone's gonna wanna go
It's not gonna-
higher,
all right,
and then you'll already.
we'll already be up there, and, yeah. So I could,
Is
I
it
don't know.
because, did they indicate it's because it would be considered more of a new wall as opposed to just replacing what was existing?
No, I'm not sure their logic, the state's
Hmm.
logic.
Well, they probably don't understand what you do about the fetch and all that.
Yeah.
They're not looking at it that way.
I guess one thing that, I would be happy if the commission's okay with the wall height as is, as it was previously proposed, I'd be happy to put it, maintain that height. And then, take, if DEP comes in and appeals and requires us to lower, we can argue our point with the DEP at that time. And let them know our concerns about leaving the wall or bringing the wall down lower. Cause I think, with sea level rise and everything occurring, it does make sense to give that added, that little bit of added extra protection, my feeling is.
You said that there's a mean high or higher high water is at 5 point something already?
5.8 already,
So that's just higher high water, that's not even a storm.
that's on
high
storm
tide.
surge and not, and to be, and
Yeah.
actually to be brutally honest, Eric and Ashley have seen it over.
It's gonna go over the wall.
They've seen it over the abutters wall already regularly, where it should only happen during a storm and maybe once or twice a year. So, to be honest, I forget, do you have the previous plan?
Yeah,
I forget what-
I do, I can open the previous plan.
So the neighbor to the upper right there, their wall is already at 8 feet.
Well, it's the rip, so that's kind of, the riprap runs up to about 8 feet, 7 or 8 feet,
So
so
you're-
it's
you're-
riprap to the north. So there's a riprap embankment here. So this is all riprap that wraps around,
Okay.
and that's up at what, 8 point, I think that's 8 point, oh no, it's least.
It says-
Six.
It's a 6, 7, 6,
6,
5,
7,
6, 6, but then it immediately slopes up. to
I think the
8 and
riprap, to
10.
be honest, I think the riprap continues up there, I believe.
I can pull up the
Yeah, it's
photos.
photo too. So you see, you can see the riprap
Yeah.
runs pretty far up there.
to the
And this, I don't think they've seen, that's not, I don't believe you're having issues with the riprap. eroding right now.
So this is their wall.
So this is their wall up, yeah, and we'd be replacing it, I believe, at this point. And then running across.
And this is the neighbors. This
This is
theirs,
this
that's what I
is
thought.
Eric and Ashley's here.
Right.
This was from, I think, it was from 22.
Yeah.
And now, it's completely tumbled in. And you can see up here, I think the riprap kind of ran up, runs up a little. See some riprap up around the corner.
Yeah, looking at these pictures also, it makes no sense to me why they wouldn't allow you to go higher,
Mm-hmm.
given that you already have elevation on the site that's higher than that.
Yeah,
And so you're already creating a solid seawall.
yeah,
The impact is with the seawall,
Seawall.
not with the elevation,
Yeah.
the top elevation of the seawall.
exactly.
And if they're allowing that part of it.
Yeah, Ron was to replace it, and we're just really want to lift it enough, where I think I dropped it, what was the original, I think it was 7.7.
Is this the original or?
That one
That's
was,
60.
no, that's the last one.
You have it at-
If you ran to this section. Section.
Yeah. 7.5.
So, yeah, we're at 7.5.
Steve, what's the age of the existing seawall? Do you know?
I don't know,
I'd say 20+ years.
yeah,
Um, and, you know, cause it's interesting because it
70s.
looks like it, I mean, so you don't know at what elevation it had originally been installed.
no,
I mean, it could have been at
Yeah.
that higher elevation,
And it's
it's
just-
obviously,
been eroding and,
yeah, it's obviously, at a minimum, it's slumped down, if not,
A
I
lot.
don't know, so.
yeah,
I mean, personally, I don't see the logic in keeping it lower, it doesn't look like that's gonna help anything, in fact,
no, I didn't,
so.
yeah,
Have the neighbors shown any
They're
inclination?
very flexible,
I
so
mean, probably wanna raise their own.
some days, it's just that it's expensive, but
Yeah.
they're very flexible for us being,
They were clear last time.
yeah.
yeah,
We have their support.
yeah,
Just if we can just get it approved by powers that be higher, it's certainly gonna make it safer and
Yeah.
worth the investment long term. When you get a big storm, it's gonna certainly be reaching, even if you put it a foot higher than this or 2 feet higher, it's gonna be reaching.
yeah, this one might breach during a very large storm event, it might breach, but I think you would hope, or I would think that, you know, if we really get the dune grass to take hold, get the root mass and the dune grass, we would hope that it wouldn't. And the other big thing is, you don't have the piping and the sand basically undermining through the blocks themselves, that those types of walls are always, have issues like that, so hence you really fortify it with stone, and you have the filter fabric wrapped with the stone, so you don't have the migration of the sands through the wall.
Mhm.
That prevents that. That's the way that we've done all the ones down there, all the walls down the basin is you really wrap it with fabric to keep the sand from washing through and then, with it eroding from behind the wall, through the wall.
Steve, are these new blocks? They look like they're interlocking.
These are all interlocking that shea block, either recon or shea, they're basically shea block's kind of the trade name.
Yeah,
Just a large gravity block wall system that they're interlocking, you can see the notches on them. I've done a few of these down the beach down there, they're all in Newbury, this is the first one in Newburyport. And I know on the Shea website, they have some photographs of some pretty formidable waves, hitting, interacting with the wall and not damaging them. I wouldn't use this in anything that was fully open to the ocean, I wouldn't trust it, but in the basin, yes, I think it's a perfect application for the basin.
and how are you removing the other blocks, the old blocks? Is this just excavating or, I mean?
Yeah, they'll just go in, well, they really don't have to excavate, so they're just gonna go in and haul them out. I think Ashley and Eric actually did briefly talk with Hartnett before they actually came to me and to see the constructability. And there is an access point from the neighbor they come down off of, I forget the name of the street. Nancy Street. They have access to the basin and they could come out across, the butter to the south to get access. It's kind of a gravelly, at the bottom of, between the bottom of the wall and the marsh is kind of a gravelly section of the basin there that you traverse across.
But we have their permission.
And they have, they do have the permission. So other than that, they'd have to come in by barge. That would be the other way to work, is by barge, which isn't great. Or you could come, your immediate neighbor, they could come through their driveway and then over the dune, but you'd end up impacting the dune more and you have to restore that. I think coming from Nancy Street would be the least impactful method of getting it constructed. So they'd have to come in, what he'd probably do is run in with an excavator, hook onto it, the chain, walk it, just roll it out. There's only 8 blocks. He'd pull those out in no time. And then he will have to be, it will have to be constructed during the title cycle. We'll probably have, 4 or 5 hour windows at a time to do the construction, then button it up and then go back to work. If he has everything there, I imagine he'd work pretty quickly. He could probably get 2 rows of, the excavate, get the stone in, get the filter fabric in and get a row of blocks in. I imagine that he'd look to do it during a quiet, quiet weather week. I would think it would take him 3 days to build that. Maybe 4 days.
To work it,
So he schedules, okay, here's a week that we have low tide that's gonna start around whatever, 10 AM. And it just marches an hour late every day. He has his 4 or 5 hour, probably 4 or 5 hour window, to get the work done. And then probably roll the fabric over it for the night or for the next title cycle. And in the morning, then they come back, pull it back and go to town again. It's, I haven't seen them. It's funny, there's been a few walls I've never gone out to see them constructed. They've had easier access than the other ones. This one's a little trickier where they can't just set up on the high side and work from the house. But
Is there any, I don't think, but is there any marsh vegetation that would be affected by this?
yeah, so we'd be working the marsh, so you have the dune up here, so you have marsh here.
Yeah,
So
but
you
not
have
on,
this kind of gravelly section that runs past here. As you come out this way, you come to the Nancy Street. It's hard to see.
kind of like around.
Yeah, as you come this way, yeah, as you come out as this wall, maybe go back to the arrow. Actually, go back to the arrow. Go
Yeah.
back. Yeah, so what happens is you can kind of see it discolored here is your march. So he'd come down here and just work right along the wall this way.
okay,
And so what you have like a gravel path.
Yeah.
Up to this point where we work. And then so you have access down Nancy Street. There's actually the house up here. They have a gravel road that comes to this point and then it'll just run across. And out there, this is all just sand with no vegetation and you just will run back and forth. I imagine you'd stockpile back back in this area and run back and forth that way.
It would be good to get like a construction staging
Yeah.
plan, an access plan for this, because it is such a sensitive area that you
Yeah.
can work back and forth on.
Yeah, it's not, and I guess at this point where the current plan isn't what we really want to build.
Right.
So I could, just go back, I did add one comment they did have was to add the gradation spec for the sand, for the
Yeah.
imported sand.
Yeah,
So I did add that to the
Okay.
plan. I found it on, I think Newbury had a beach nourishment for
Yeah.
Plum Island and I grabbed, I don't know if that, did
the
you?
grade size,
Jenna,
yeah,
if you saw that grain size, it looked okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and, if it meets Newbury standards, then it meets our standards. What about chapter 91?
I'm not, so that's one thing, well, typically what we do is we get our, at least with the stuff, stuff I tell Tom,
Yeah,
we get our, notice of intent, and then we move on for any Army Corps in chapter 91. I talked with Tom about this, so
Yeah.
he'll be,
yeah,
he'd be helping me, he's
Yeah.
busy, but he'd help me, run through if we do need to go to chapter 91. He thought we might, so the weird thing is we were actually well behind if, per the survey from 2 years ago, when the block was intact, we were a couple feet back from mean high. Because, but now that the blocks have fallen into the basin, the mean high has changed from 2022, and now it kind of curves up into the property, so now we cross mean high. So he's got a contact down there, I forget I might reach out to them to see if they were gonna require it, so we'll do plans together and file chapter 91. And then his Army Corps, I think Tom was thinking it'd just be self-verification, was it SVN or something?
SVN,
And,
yeah.
Yeah, he's got the contacts, and typically what we've done in the past, once we get our order, or we get the order of conditions, we then go and get the chapter 91, and the Army Corps.
Because they want to see in order conditions and.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would just not be able to, allow start of work until we had
Yeah.
confirmation that those other.
Those, that you had those, yeah.
What about US Coast Guard?
I
Any
don't-
requirements there?
I don't believe so,
I
no.
don't think so. There's
No, we're not, we're not impeding any navigable waters.
Right. No water sheet permits.
Yeah.
No docks or piers.
No, yeah. And even the floats we don't actually, the float designs we need to get, we don't have Coast Guard. You just have to stay away from that, you just get a harbor master to stay and keep your clearance from the navigation channel.
So if you had to have a barge, you wouldn't need any kind of Coast Guard permission?
For construction,
Yeah,
I don't believe so,
I don't think if there is.
We never have.
yeah, no. No, there'd be nothing set up in the navigation channel or anything like that. But I don't, right now, I think we're pretty comfortable with where it'd be a lot cheaper to be operating from the
landside,
land than from a barge, to mobilize a barge and
yeah.
truck all the material out in a barge would probably double or at least double the cost of the law, I would imagine.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we definitely need like your
Okay,
construction access route,
Yeah.
any protective measures for the dune or.
Yeah.
Or whatever along that route.
yeah.
And
Probably what we-
where the staging area
Yeah.
is.
We'd probably put mats down.
Yeah.
Just put mats on the to and fro. I would think you could just lead them in.
And then, yeah.
Lead them in through the tide cycling.
Yeah.
And I can talk to Hardin too and find out what is, as far as any constructability issues that might come up.
So the mats wouldn't float away?
I don't think they have enough, I believe. That's the one that can ask him.
I guess that's his problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, do we have any other questions, comments? Julie, do we have any public?
Maybe we have. Member, one, attendee.
Do we have any- Okay, do we have any comments from the public? If so, raise your hand. Okay, seeing no comments, I don't, do we want to continue or what?
Yeah, I guess we need to continue I'm gonna update the plan to put it back to the original design height. And I think the other issue would be providing us construction staging plan, just an overall access staging plan.
With mitigation measures to protect the coastal resource areas,
yeah. We can do that.
Julia, when you said mitigation measures, you mean erosion control measures?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean like planting or anything, I just mean, measures that they would put in place to protect any dune or beach
Yeah.
that they're traversing, yeah.
Can I get a motion to continue?
Do you want to continue to the next meeting, February 4th?
Yeah, I should be able to, I can have everything updated by then. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be here. Sam might have to come in. I'm gonna be off at Rebels soon.
Oh.
Always awesome.
Motion to continue, until the next meeting, February 4th.
Second,
Barb,
yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay.
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearings?
So moved?
Second,
Barb,
Yes,
Bill,
yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, and 8S Street, we thought was going to be here, but aren't.
They communicated with me, 8th Street again is the enforcement issue with the, quote unquote, mobile home on, that was constructed without permits on this lot of 8th Street, which is in the V zone on the basin. And, they've hired, Lisa Mead's firm, Mead and Costa, to represent them. And they let me know last week by email that they're planning to submit a notice of intent for after the fact approval of the structure. And so I responded asking if they planned on coming to the meeting to give the commission an update in person, or if they wanted to give an update in writing on any details of why this was constructed, et cetera, what they plan to submit for the notice of intent. And also reminding them that they need to get a zoning review first. Because also would require zoning approval, which it may or may not qualify for. So that I just never heard back from them. So I was telling Steve that I assume that means they're working on it. But they do need to respond because it's on our agenda as an enforcement issue, and they did receive a notice of violation and have not given us anything yet. So, I'll try to get somebody to come to the, either a notice of intent, well, no, the notice of intent wasn't submitted last Friday, so it can't be on the February 4th agenda. So I will try to get somebody to come in and at least address it in some detail, give us a status report or whatever. Unless you guys feel comfortable with just waiting for a notice of intent whenever they're ready.
No, I'd like to know what's going on. Especially if they have to go before zoning and if they get turned down, then we don't see them at all.
Well, they've been served with an enforcement order and they
No.
haven't
Just a notice of
a
violation.
notice of violation.
Yeah.
Thank you. And they haven't really responded. So just submitting an NOI doesn't actually really respond to the violation, the notification of violation. So, yeah, I think they should probably do that first. Or concurrently, and just keep us informed.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? I will entertain a motion.
One quick question on the, any luck getting in touch with I forget the address, but, the one that we've been trying to.
Yes, I think you were at the meeting, last meeting they came. It was on Basin Street.
Okay.
To Basin, and they, with the patio.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's actually the guy who owns Pomodori's. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now.
It was a Greek name.
Peter, with a Greek last name. In any case, the commission approved him mitigating the patio with some plantings and what else did you require? I can't remember off the top of my head.
It was basically a lot of plantings. The reason he put it in is because his father visits every year from Greece and he uses a walker.
yeah,
He needs a flat, level spot.
Yeah.
To be able to get into the building. Assuming that's all true, I thought it was a good reason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
okay.
this was at the last meeting. Yeah, and so similar to that, there was a variance we provided at one point for like a solid surface drive for somebody who had a handicap to get in and out of their house.
Mhm.
So I think that's how the commission looked at this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, He's gonna, send us photos in the spring.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Also, Bill got it first. Barb,
Yes.
Bill,
yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay.
Well, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Okay,
Julia, did
enjoy your vacation. Bill.
you get my email about Curzon Mill?